I was attacking Cenk Uygur recently for his comments, not his comments, his response to accusations of comments. His response was, I was a Republican, so therefore I'm going to make those comments because I was intolerant then. I thought that was an acceptable explanation. But I was really struck recently watching a Young Turks clip where Anna Kasparian, the feminist, was talking about how unacceptable it was that these sports stars in America made comments rating women on their attractiveness in private Google chats to each other. How dare they? You know, it's one thing, she says, when women, you know, comment on the size of a guy's beep or whatever, but, you know, it's totally different when men do it. That's basically what her argument was. And I'm so glad I'm not straight, if this is the case, by the way. I feel so sorry for all the straight men. I'm really, really genuinely sorry for you. You are in this world now with these... You can't even say someone's attractive because that's then degrading them. I don't know how that works. It doesn't work like that in gay land. It doesn't seem to. So feminism has become synonymous with man-hating. Because there's a war on men. Because men get everything, don't they? There's a patriarchy. Nothing to do with Islam, nothing to do with Islam. But, you know, it's any excuse. Get rid of all people's speech. They don't seem to realise that enforcing any kind of thing that they want, you know, people can't say this. This is unacceptable. We can't accept this. Well, what are you going to do? Ban people from speaking? What are you going to do? Shut down the forum? What are you going to do? Have algorithms that search for people making suggestive comments? Well, they've already got those. But this is how people talk, and if you disagree with someone on something, which you will in this divided age, then you can't just suddenly crush them until they agree or block them so they don't exist. You have to learn to coexist. That is the point. That is what life is about. That is what conversation is about. You have your side, then they have their side. You might disagree, in which case you can't wait to butt in, and sometimes you'll butt in because you can't remember the point if you listen to all their point and they keep going and filibustering and then you can't remember what you were going to say. Sometimes conversation can take a funny turn and get a bit, you know, heated up and tumultuous. But generally, if you disagree and you have fundamental beliefs and you give reasons for those beliefs and fully explain them, etc., you can just agree to disagree. You're not going to agree. But people then faction off into sides. So it's like, oh, I'm not going to agree with anything you say. So even though I found what you said funny, I'm not going to admit it to myself because you're the enemy. That's radicalization. That is how the left have been radicalized. And now the right as well. The ones that say, you know, demolish mosques. Whenever someone tweets something about Britain first, it's always, why is that a problem? You know, well, of course, the problem is the Islamic Sharia law and all the killing and so on forwarding the video, but the fact that Britain First is automatically absolved is also a problem, because there's right-wing extremism and there's left-wing extremism, and they are both forms of totalitarianism. What we need to do is stop silencing each other because we don't like the other side and find a happy medium, somehow work out, oh well, we'll have to agree to disagree. But is that really going to happen? Because I've never seen, ever seen anyone more totalitarian than the left right now. The acceptable face of the left, the mainstream left, have become incredibly totalitarian. Gizmodo running that article saying why Julian Assange being kicked off Twitter was a good thing, why it was deleted is saving free speech. That is what they are aspiring to be. Complete Nazi. I don't even know if it's the journalists that are making the articles or the people that are just forwarding them, allowing them to be published. Who's to blame for this breakdown in media, for this breakdown in trust and values and morals in media, and this bullying culture against the right, against the alt-right, against the far right, or whatever it is? That's certainly the way I see it. I don't see iffy stares quite as dangerous as some of the attacks that have happened, you know, in the media, and actually then from Antifa and so on. And let's not forget the leftists' best friends, the Islamists. They're causing no problems. And no, Islamist doesn't mean Muslim, doesn't mean every Muslim, doesn't mean the Muslim that you know and like. They don't really understand the Quran, they don't really understand the nature of Sharia, they don't really understand the teachings of Muhammad, and that's why the clerics are always the extremists. But they'll never say that. They'll never tell the truth about their own religion. They will just repeat the platitudes. Islam is a religion of peace. That's why there's so many deaths attributed to it every month. How dare you say it isn't peaceful after looking at the statistics? I'm going to kill you if you don't say it's peaceful again. And that logic, that ridiculous logic, seems to work with the average leftist. They think that's acceptable because they think an acceptable way to argue is to go ad hominem and say, yeah, well, you would say that, you're a fascist. Of course they're going to think that. They don't have reason. They don't work in logic. They work in emotion, like I am right now when I'm getting agitated and speaking extra fast. If you get passionate about this subject, you can't help talk fast and you have so much to say and everything links together, so it just reels off the brain without having to think it. Sometimes gets a bit repetitive. Anyway, back to that YouTube, the Young Turks clip. I'm glad that Cenk Uygur was actually defending men in that case, because he said, well, they weren't broadcasting it on YouTube or Twitter or Facebook or anything, so it was a private conversation, it wasn't meant to be broadcast. So the rules should be more lenient. And I agree, absolutely agree. I don't think there's anything wrong with it being broadcast anyway. Everything they said was perfectly fine. There was nothing insulting or degrading. There's nothing degrading about saying, damn, she's fine, I bet she sucks cock well, or whatever. You know, I wouldn't say that, but the average straight man might say that. That is not degrading, that is how people talk. And if you can't accept locker room talk, if you can't accept just the way people talk, or the way people feel about each other, if someone's ugly and they say it, or someone's attractive and they say it, if you can't accept that, then you are the problem. The problem is people being offended on other people's behalf.